So going forward.
Yes.
So, I mean, obviously I'm looking forward to this. Tony loves it. She wants to actually be there to support you guys and watch as well too. So, I mean, how does it work in terms of when you're at the games? How do you take the time? Tony wanted to know this specifically. How do you recover? I mean, specifically, what is it that you do in between the actual, different events that you're doing? Do you call them WODs on that? Because it's workout of the day.
There's generally the term WOD or workout of the day was sort of more for your general programming, say in your local affiliate. It is a workout that is programmed for the day, and you could turn up at any class in the day. That same workout's going to be run, and you've kind of ticked that box. Yeah. At the CrossFit Games, we're more so looking at events. 1 through to 1 million.
When you might have 2 or 3 events in a single game, I mean, how many does it go up to during the CrossFit Games?
I think it averages maybe around anywhere from 10 to 15. Each event varies. Some are over the so it's usually it changes, but usually we're doing something on the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It changes.
Yeah.
But every event varies. Some might be one single domain, one element, one skill or a heavy lift, and then it could be all the way to doing a triathlon. They vary so much.
But you don't know that yet, do you?
No.
When do you find out what you're actually going to be doing?
When I get to the US, I think they will start drip feeding elements. They'll start giving away clues of events, maybe things that they might want someone to be prepared for if they're going to make us use something, like an odd kind of component, a kayak or something.
This sounds like your teachers going, now this may or may not be on the test, and you get there and you're completely prepared for it, and it's no, it's not on the test.
Well, that's our job as a CrossFit Games athlete, is to be prepared for anything. We need to be ready and physically capable, and the goal is to be able to train CrossFit as a strength and conditioning program, and to have those skills be so strong that you can then transfer them over into any event possibly and be exceptional at it. And that's our goal. So we do that all year round, and then they're supposed to say, hey, now you're going to have to do this outside of your realm, but because you've trained all these skills so well, you should be able to do it no problem.
Yeah.
So that's the goal.
Yeah.
We have lots of events. They could be half an hour apart. They could be 3 hours apart. That will vary. They'll drip feed information to us and maybe give us a few key workouts before the games. I'm going to say no longer than 2 weeks out or a week out. That's up to their discretion. We just kind of keep an eye out and wait for it. Then all the way down to an event might be announced to you're doing it. So that you're doing an event on the Saturday afternoon, but might not know until, an hour or two before the event.
So how do you recover between these events? Everything from straight after the event through to how do you switch off at night? What time do you go to bed? How much sleep do you get? Do you try and get naps in between? What are you doing?
I used to try and be really, really calculated with things like sleep. I have to be in bed by this time, and but then what that created for me was stress. So hey, I've actually gotten stuck doing something else that was really important. I've missed my bedtime. Oh my gosh, I've missed my bedtime. I'm not gonna have enough sleep. What's gonna happen tomorrow? And now that stress response has just created something even greater and worse for the next day. So I have an idea. I will get to bed as soon as I can once I've taken care of what I need to take care of. For me, at the start of the day, obviously, the nutrition when you first wake up and your supplementation, all those kind of things, set the tone, get your body going, do whatever you need to do to kind of get yourself. I spend a bit of time by myself at the start of the day, just tuning in with me. Just breathing, slowing down, and I won't think about anything until I need to think about it.
Do you use music?
Sometimes I use music. I actually have found the podcasts actually help a lot because I get lost in the information, and so it just it's
apparently people are asking that I bring out a podcast where I just talk softly and slowly and
just really mellow.
People apparently everyone listens to me, they fall asleep, which is not really what I'm kind of looking for. It's every time I listen, and then they wake up with the exit music and they're like, Jeff, you just put me to sleep. It's I don't know if I need to. That's not really a compliment.
Something to look into though.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just depends. Your energy changes, your mood changes, and I'm really, really big on rolling with that energy and that mood. If I try and fight back against it again, it becomes too much effort, too much energy. So I kind of have to roll with whatever's going on. Throughout the day is pretty much post workout is damage control, like a lot of it has to be done beforehand with like good, like I said, nutrition, supplementation, body prep, things like that. Slowing down. I work with a program called ROMWOD, and we do like these slow, long.
What, sorry?
ROMWOD. So it's
ROMWOD.
like range of motion WOD. So it's like it was CrossFit specific kind of yoga style stuff. Okay. That slows me down. I do that kind of stuff. I breathe. I do my body prep. And then I might do that in between events, but afterwards it's about like damage control of what I've done, backing up what I did beforehand, assessing the time frame as to when I can eat what I can eat.
When before an event do you eat? When's the like I won't eat within an hour of training or something?
Usually I won't eat any like kind of real food or meal or anything like that, and maybe an hour and a half. Actually, yeah, I'd say an hour and a half to 2 hours before an event. But I might have something small. Again, my body will kind of tell me if it can handle it or not. If I feel like I'm crashing a little and I'm empty and I can put something in, it just depends what I will then put in. So like, is it going to be in liquid form, or is it going to be, I'm an old school, like squeeze a honey before the workout kind of girl still. I can't seem to break that.
Don't.
No, if it's working.
Yeah, so that's
I've got to take it out of the infrared.
And then,
so you're going to have to whack some honey back in.
Yeah. And then that varies too, like the timing of when I have infrared based off the event. So like, is it long? I read the little the description at the bottom of the website, like is it an endurance event, like we're saying prepping for CrossFit. That became one of the first things that I needed to know. Like when can I have that? And I've tested that now before I go into the game, so I know like how does it sit with me, and where do I get that good energy release for this particular event, or one that's going to run for 1 hour versus one where I need to peak and be on for 10 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever it may be. So, but that's all things that you need to practice. You can't wing that and try something new on a competition day.
Right.
Obviously nutrition is huge. That's like my hero of everything, and my breathing and my stretching, and I do body work in between. So I use electrical muscle stimulation to do like active recoveries and then reactivation for workouts.
So is that like a TENS machine do you use, or what are you using?
So it's mistaken to be like a TENS machine, but they're quite different. So I use a unit called Compex, and pretty much so it's like a wireless device, and you can use I originally started using it for like that gradual cool down. I'm all about that, like getting the body back to like assisting it to get back to its regular state without anything really drastic and shocking.
Sure.
So I would put that on, like say I've done something that's like really grip intensive. I'm going forearms and I'm going to slowly just like let everything settle and get back to normal while I eat and all that kind of stuff. And then reactivate. So TENS works more superficially.
Yeah.
So it's more like a sensory, like a pain management, like blocking, like Band-Aid kind of thing. Electrical muscle stim is, the way it's explained to me, is essentially biohacking your central nervous system to think that it's having a voluntary contraction.
Can you feel it?
Yeah, so so you can feel it like based on what settings you use, but pretty much it's a way that you can't hide from something good happening. Like, your body can compensate and it can do what it wants to do. If it's tired, it will go, oh no, I don't want to turn on those muscles, or I don't want to recover that. Yeah. Where there's no way around it if you're going through the central nervous system. Yeah. So I'm a big believer in that as well. And they're pretty much like, my main tools that I'm using in between. Like I've got this thing on shaking like nonstop between events and eating food and drinking, and that's me. And then
just for the listeners, with those frequency machines, so when we're looking at TENS machines, they're at a frequency that's going to induce a contraction and actually contribute to your electrical imbalances that were induced by your training.
Yeah,
so they don't actually fix it; they actually make it exactly the same as contracting, which makes it worse. When you're looking at the different frequencies that sit below that actually work, like you're saying, with the autonomic nervous system, they do a variety of things. For starters, they're actually putting electrons into your system. Our whole energy production pathway is called the electron transport chain. It's designed to give us electrons. Using those electrons, you can actually reload some of that ATP between exercises. The other thing you're actually doing is doing two things. Cool. In an acute situation, you're putting a signal in saying that your acute inflammation is actually more aggressive than what it actually is. So then your body does an exaggerated healing response, almost like homeopathics where like treats like. But in a chronic situation, you're actually putting in a signal that then blocks the signals to the nervous system, and then the nervous system goes, hang on, where's my forearms gone? Oh, here they are, and they're a bit sore. let's see if we can stimulate a bit of energy. So it's actually really cool. And just so for people to know that there's a big difference between the different levels of energy that we use, and a TENS machine's not for that.
I've got one on my desk that's actually mats at the moment. It's a little cool thing, and I use it for my shoulder because I've hurt my shoulder.
The physio key there, that one.
Physio key, yeah.
But you said something before that I got goosebumps from, because it's something that I wish I used the words you used. But something that really used to bug me when I treat a lot of athletes is they don't train the way they play. Like, for example, they might be a little bit flat or something during the week when it comes to training, and they get in the habit of using these pre-workouts designed for bodybuilders or something just to get them to CrossFit. They don't help you at CrossFit. They get you there because you've taken a stimulant. You're not going to sit at home.
Sure.
So sometimes what I'm saying is some people do one thing when they practice and train, and then when they go to an event, when they're a bit anxious, a bit nervous, they don't need something to give them anxiety and nerves, so they stop it, and then they go, I don't try, I never compete, and I train good and I compete terribly, or you know what I mean. And so what you said was you must practice your supplements, and that is so important, because not many people go out there and actually train their supplements. They do all the other training, but they don't actually do an experiment to see what happens with these supplements, because what one person might thrive from, another person might totally get the runs.
Exactly. And the dosing is huge, the timing is huge, and then it also comes down to so then when we start talking about sleep, and then what have I had at particular times, is this going to be okay, or do I need to drop the dose back? Say my infrared, I've got certain ranges now that I know work. Sometimes I will have half a serve or a full one based off the time of day and the time of event, and those little things you have to practice. You have to know what your belly can handle, and you have to know
how much to dilute it.
Exactly how much water you need. And then no, what happens here actually is if I have too much water, I need to pee non-stop and I'm going out into the event with a full bladder, no, I need this much, or I need to sip it during, or no, I need to drink it and be done with it. And those things are crucial. They're those 1%ers again that can how do you want it? You don't want to come back and be how was that event? Oh man, it was okay, but I needed to pee the whole time. In
a lot of the journals, they talk about what the scientists might think is statistically significant might be a 10% improvement.
Yeah.
But the 1% is when you're at your level of elite. So a lot of people look at a study and go, statistically across the board, it's not that flash. We may as well just have chocolate milk.
Yeah.
But it's these small percentage differences. Hey, I was curious. Have you ever made any major supplemental mistakes?
Major supplemental mistakes, not that I can think of. I've definitely made plain food mistakes, wrong timing, or coffee, at the wrong time, and say the start of an event, the start of the weekend, I need to go lighter on supplementation and on, say, stimulant. If I have coffee, I know a certain range it's okay for me, but at the start of the competition, I need to be less, because I already have that anxiousness, that anticipation, and so that can tip me over the edge. And then as I settle, I'm okay to go back to my normal routine, but I almost need to deload and really simplify, because I have so much adrenaline and everything kind of going through my body doing what it feels like it needs to do already. So then if I put my regular supplementation and everything on top of that, it becomes too much. So little things like that are huge.
For the listeners, the two most common supplement mistakes I see in the CrossFit world. One is pre-workout vasodilators.
Yes.
So a lot of guys will go in and use vasodilator. They get all this pump and they can't get any reps.
Yeah.
That's a big one. And creatine. A lot of people use creatine pre-workout because creatine's got a good reputation for regenerating ATP. But pre-workout, it holds so much water outside the cells, contributes a lot to cramping and that sort of stuff. So I was just curious because they're the two that I saw all the time.
Well, while we talk about supplementation, I mean, obviously you're using our stuff now.
Yes.
But what was it about our products? I mean, it sounded like it was the No Way that originally put us on the map as ATP with you as an athlete. So do you want to talk us through how you learned about our company and what products you use and what you use now?
Yeah, so I definitely think it was the No Way that was the first thing that I tried. And then I sort of started trying a few other things. I love the No Way. I was like, oh, this is really easy. Like I said, it felt like my body didn't have to do anything for it. And then actually what happened was I became a fan because I was listening to podcasts. Maddie told me, oh, you listen to their podcast. I don't actually normally listen to a lot of podcasts. I find that I don't get a lot of people I don't know, almost doing it for the wrong reasons, which is why which is the same reason why I haven't actually been involved in a lot of podcasts before. This is actually only my second one I've ever done. Very selective with what I do.
Yeah.
But I started listening and I got so excited. And then what really excited me was that once I started looking into the products, the fact that I could go onto the website and I could see all of the information. So the education was there. And then I started listening to the podcast and I got really, really excited against that potential, that science potential for my sport and for thriving and growth and evolution got me really, really excited. And, I was like, I actually was like talking to Maddie and I was talking to a couple of people close to me and I'm like, I just feel like I really just need to be connected to these guys. And like ATP was actually the first company that I ever reached out to and said like, hey, like, can I be involved with you guys?
Wow. Cool.
Yeah, so I like hadn't done that before and I was like just genuinely excited about just the concept that you guys are always educating people on how to use the products. It's not just a marketing company. Obviously, business is business, and I get that kind of thing, but it's about helping people in certain areas and how to, like, the education on using products, because I see so many people, especially now as an affiliate owner, taking supplements and they have no idea how, when, or it's just take more and surely that's got to be good. I'm going to pump through. I'm like, hold up, like, that there's more to it than that. And you can feel amazing, but you need to understand it. And just that sort of, I guess that ethic was really, really valuable to me. And then the next product in line, like I started slowly just getting really excited about everything. And the Cord RX was like rang alarm bells, and I listened to the podcast and, about cortisol. And I was like, I was an athlete. Like, yes, I understand all of this stuff. It's huge. It's such a balancing act. But it was the infrared as well. So I typically do not take pre-workout. I never have. I'm not about stimulants. It took a long time. I really only started drinking coffee a lot like a year and a half ago. And I'm still kind of conservative. I try and be semi-conservative with that. But I have a very, very sensitive system. And so like I said, I'm high energy. And I was really sensitive to a lot of pre-workouts. But then when I read about infrared and I tried it, I was like, hey, this is actually like, I couldn't believe how I felt during a workout. And then I was okay afterwards. I didn't crash or anything like that. And I've been fearful. Like, I'd been really fearful. And obviously it's not designed as just a pre-workout, but that's how I first looked at it, I guess. Then I learned more about it and realized obviously all the extra stuff. And that product in particular like excited me the most. And then now it's just like everything. I'm just trying to find my way and find my ideal dosing on everything. And
Do you use the amp?
So that's the next on my list. So I've been learning about it, and the only reason I haven't implemented it like regularly is that I'm so close to competition. And like I said, it's about practicing what you know. So
and you need to practice how it affects your gut.
Exactly. That's one thing that I actually had it out on the kitchen table and like had it ready. I'm like, that is the thing that I'm like, I can try now. I'm like 2 months out.
I was going to say you got 2 months.
I got 2 months. So I'm like, I can make those mistakes now. And that's okay. It's not going to be super expensive, and I can do that before I get to the US. But that's the thing I'm like really excited about. And I think I've got just enough time to play around with it. But I think that it could really like kind of get me over the edge.
The funniest thing, and Matt can probably tell the story better, is when we first got our trial batches, Andrea Miller, who she's in the Commonwealth. Andrea, she's a CrossFitter as well too. She's now focused a lot on her lifting.
On Olympic lifting, sure.
Matt gave her some and said, look, try this. Matt, I'll let you tell the story.
Because Andrea, I used to love...
And she's a smart girl too. She's a physio, isn't she?
She's excellent because she used to document everything. Keep it secret and lie to everyone about what her scores were so no one knew. But she used to document everything. It was an excellent little lab rat for me. But also you couldn't mess with her structure. She didn't like that. So I just create chaos. I just turn up here, try this. And so, no, it's not a lifting day. No, this is not a heavy lifting day. I'm not going to experiment today. And then I didn't even leave the car park, and she rang me up and said, I just hit a PB. What we did in that instance is we just realised that the amino acids will be pooling in the body. A lot of these other things that we use supplement-wise are pooling. So all we did is we gave her the AMP-V, which is a group of essential fatty acids with other oils, and a water-soluble vitamin, multifood, to stack together as a pre-workout to fuel the little cofactors of our energy production pathway.
Amazing.
And bring all of these other amino acids in for the Krebs cycle. The other fuels can come in if we've got the right cofactors. Major difference. No stimulants. It's just what it feels like with genuine cellular energy. Infrared was... in our industry, I mean, we started the industry we did everything wrong. I mean, when everyone else was making pre-workouts, high stims, no sugar, we go out one with no stims, full of sugar, and everyone's like, "What the hell are you doing?" And it's like, no, we were told to make a performance product. What we've got in this product is just what you need for performance. If it's not directly going to help you within the next couple of hours, then it's not in the product.
Yep.
So this product is not a recovery product. It's only for performance. And the funny thing is because when we first released it, everyone's gone, well, there's no branch chains in it. There's no creatine in it. There's no glutamine in it. Where are those things? And so, well, where are they going to directly help your performance? And if it's not directly helping your performance, it's adding to the burden in your gut.
Yes.
And the biggest concerns that we have with CrossFit is make sure the mental state's fine. Make sure, because most CrossFit people are insane.
Yeah.
So make sure the mental state is fine.
It's a well-known fact.
Yeah. That's what we do. So make sure the guts are fine as well, and otherwise just make sure we've got the nutrients, because you just don't want to overload them, because you don't know. Like if you give a CrossFit person a classic endurance protocol, they go terrible. If you give them a classic bodybuilding protocol, they go terrible.
Yeah.
Because what happens, an endurance thing's designed to have slow release everything, and that means it sits in your gut.
Yeah,
and you can't go and be doing burpees prior to your run and have a gut full of sugar for your run, that you're swishing around with your burpees. So the whole concept, the development of infrared, is only put in the stuff that's going to be absorbed and utilised. Everything else, put it into a post-workout. And that's why it doesn't have those things into it. And also then it made it so important to use the highest quality electrolytes we could find, because if you don't have those salts getting absorbed quickly, they're sitting in your guts, then all the water rushes in. So it was quite a complicated formula, and the only reason why I want to talk about it a little bit more is because I then did a heap of trials on it with the racehorses, because racehorses were excellent, because they were...
they don't complain.
They don't complain.
And they won't sue you.
And everything's timed. Again, they time everything. There's less placebo.
True.
So with the racehorses, was kind of really cool. Now, in the whole CrossFit world, the whole new madness is supplement thing going on in CrossFit's Bicarb. Everyone's talking about Bicarb. The doses they're using of Bicarb are crazy. Like, we're talking about starting at 30 grams, working your way up to 150 grams of sodium bicarbonate prior to an event to improve it. Now, the funny thing is why we use Bicarb, the whole concept of Bicarb is to buffer acid as it's made. Alternatively, what our body normally uses, uses Bicarb, but we have all these mechanisms with our electrolytes and inside of our cells and things like she said. The whole infrared formula was designed to preserve Bicarb within your body by buffering the acid as it's made and the metabolic waste as it's made. So you don't need to supplement Bicarb. In the early days, this is probably a bit of a... I might get shot after saying this publicly, but there were racehorse trainers that were using my protocols and the infrared, and I tell them, you don't add Bicarb with it, because my formula preserves the Bicarb, and Bicarb's banned in racehorses. So these guys were actually using my formula and then adding Bicarb and then failing the swabs because they had too much Bicarb in the system, because their body just wasn't burning through the Bicarb because of the electrolytes and the Schisandra and the beta-alanine, and all those things preserve Bicarb in your body, so you don't need to fill up with Bicarb. Because what happens, Bicarb, it mixes with hydrochloric acid, makes carbon dioxide, creates a big gas bubbles that all froth up. And seriously, in this study that Steve-O gave me here, they got... for a whole week, they took 37.5 grams per day. So that's like massive big heat tablespoons. And then they doubled it for the next week, and then they doubled it again. They did that over a month and then found a slight improvement in performance.
Well, I remember there was a 400-metre run.
They said no gastric side effects. In the study, it said no gastric side effects.
How's that possible?
Because
no way.
Because they assumed that the effects... No, remember side effects. So the Bicarb effects weren't included. Which is bloating, fullness, farting, burping, gurgling. They weren't looked at as side effects, so they could then confirm that no gastric side effects.
Oh, rubbish.
Yeah, crazy. But yeah, your protocol that you're doing is preserving all the Bicarb in your body, so you don't actually need to take stupid doses of Bicarb.
No.
It's crazy, yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah.
And again, the we could probably do a whole podcast on supplementation, sports supplement science around, CrossFit performance, endurance.
Yeah.
The one that I love, and again, and I'm really, really keen to get your feedback on, is the AMP, because of the effect that it has on strength, like increasing. What is it? List?
We'll be honest. We'll be honest with it. So what happened, man? We tried to make this oil product that activates these PPARs, protects your body from cortisol, stops you preserving fat and fluid, and gets you burning fat. That was the whole concept behind AMP for those people that were getting up in the morning having a stimulant and then going for a walk. I wanted these people to be
fasted
doing
cardio.
This oily sort of, and to work, and not using ketones, but using oil to make ketones. We won't start that discussion again. But anyway, so with AMP-V, it was oily, and when you put it in the mouth, it was bloody horrible, like greasy. And so what I thought, peppermint cuts through the oil. So I add some peppermint essential oils into it, and then I thought I'll quickly do some research on peppermint and make sure it's synergistic with the formula and not actually going to be a problem, because we want everything to work. Found these papers on the exact dose of, we tweaked the doses to make sure we had exact dose that was attributed to. So 2 mils of AMP-V gives you exactly the same dose of this peppermint that was used in this study that showed a 35% increase in grip strength immediately after using it, 17% increase in box jump, 16% increase in standing long jump. And this was just from the peppermint, and massive changes to VO2 max. It was like this freaky thing.
Could you create a bit of product?
I only put it in so you don't have a greasy tongue.
Can we not air this until after the games?
Yeah, we might keep that a little bit secret. Yeah, we might edit that one out. These are some of the tricks we might do for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, seriously, and don't get me wrong, the infrared, and I actually want to ask you, and I know that you haven't used all the products yet, but I mean, what is your top 3 products, in terms of ATP?
Do you know what?
The ones that you like, the ones that you feel you get the best benefit.
I had actually stopped having like a protein supplement altogether, but then what got me over the line, like obviously I started having no whey, and I was like, I'm not really like a protein shake post-workout kind of girl.
Yep.
I'm like, I actually have it before bed, and I block it into my macros, like into my app. When I track it, I have that in as like, I work my way backwards so that's what I'm always having before bed. Yep. And it was the other sciencey stuff behind it rather than just ticking protein boxes for me. The gut sort of benefits is what sort of made me go, I need to prioritize having that, and that's why I put it in as something that I'm always going to have before bed. So that's definitely key. Infrared, obviously. Oh, it's really hard. I'm going to say CourtRx at the moment. Yeah, I'm going to say CourtRx, especially in times like right now. Stress. We obviously have the physical stress of the kind of training I'm doing for hours and hours every day, and I very, very much believe in assisting your body and supporting your body to find its level. And so rather than giving something that's going to change, but rather allows it to find its level, was what like really excited me. And it's something like a product that you can take that you just don't ever have to worry about. You're like, what, I'm going to have this and it's going to support me to find my level.
That's cool.
Yeah, instead of manipulating my body. I don't like to manipulate it. Exactly.
Yeah, and one of the cool things about it, it's not a chemical straitjacket. So it does help a lot with your stress, but it does none of that by actually altering your response to stress.
Yes.
What it actually does is it reduces your stress burden. So when you've got inflammatory stress, acid stress, immune stress, liver stress, all of these things adding to your stress burden on the body, and then you've got the anxiety of competing on the outside.
Yeah.
So we take away all the stress from inside, so that way you can deal with the stress from outside, and you don't actually need any sort of a sedative or anything to achieve that, which is kind of cool.
Yes.
So the 2 ones that myself personally, and I think you would have tried the multi-food before.
Oh yeah, I still do have that, but if I had to pick 3, that was really hard.
I know, right?
Yes.
It doesn't count on. Everyone should be on multi-food.
I have the multi-food every day, naturally.
Well, the next one, I'm
ZMST,
really looking forward to you trying the AMP, because again, if I was going to, and again, this is just my opinion, not Matt's opinion. Matt probably, he knows a lot more than me, but I would definitely say the infrared, the AMP, and the multi-food, I think, it's like trying to, as Matt says, it's like trying to choose your favourite child.
I know.
Oh, no, it's the first one.
Yeah. And the no way.
I was just joking, Alfie, it's not you.
Okay, I've got another question for you,
Yes.
and then we have to start wrapping it up. Matt, I don't know if you've got any final questions, but last year. So and what's the movie called? I've bought it, but I haven't watched it yet.
Like the documentary.
Yeah, the documentary.
Was it
called
The Fittest on Earth?
Redeemed
and Dominant. Fittest on Earth was one before. Sorry, I should know this.
I've got to watch it, right? But
Yes.
but obviously, spoiler alert. How did you process? How do you come back mentally as an athlete from the fact that effectively, and correct me where I'm wrong, you won, but there was a miscount, and that was what was it the final exercise, and then that dropped you 40 points or something like that. And
so there was an event. It wasn't the final event. It was I think it was on the final day. Yeah, it was on the final day. There are a particular amount of repetitions that needed to be completed.
Yes.
On the final set, we had to complete them in blocks of 3. I had one more block of 3 to go, which I thought I did, but my judge called me. He had thought that I had completed, like human error. That's all it was. Judge miscounted, has pushed me forward and said, yes, go. I'm like, I've hesitated, like, are you sure? He's going, go. Judge's call is usually final. And so I've run over the finish line. I wouldn't have won that workout, but I would have placed whatever I placed.
You would have placed higher?
Yeah, I would have placed higher. I would have achieved a certain amount of points. That if that placing had have stood, that yes, I would have had enough points to win the CrossFit Games. However, I didn't complete the repetition, so they had to make a call. They've gone back. Someone else has identified that I didn't complete the repetitions. Not to my fault. Like I was, I did as I was instructed. I went ahead. You can't cheat the CrossFit Games. Like, it doesn't work like that. Someone's accounting. So there was just an error. They then made the decision to calculate how long it took me to complete that amount of repetitions at that stage in the event, and to then add that on in seconds, and then to adjust my time, which placed me lower than I had placed. So
that sounds reasonably fine.
To be honest, that was the best outcome. There are a lot of other ways that they could have done it.
Yeah.
For instance, it could have been a non-complete workout. They've let me go over the line. It could have been a non-complete, and it could have placed me lower again. In that situation, and something that you have to train for, and you have to prepare for, is the uncontrollable situations. There's a certain element as an athlete, as a human being, that you can control. And, that's doing things like what I'm doing right now, everything, and practicing and your nutrition and what you wear and everything. But things are still going to happen. That's just life.
So when did you find out about that?
Straight away. So I got to the finish line. I was like, oh, that's kind of weird, but he sent me forward. Yeah. I'm thinking, okay, maybe I've got the count wrong. Like, I'm the tired one. This guy surely knows.
Yeah, right. So you've 4 days of competing off.
Totally. I'm like, I'm probably not making any sense. I get over the line. One of the other girls is kind of called out, like, she didn't finish. Like, she somehow knew.
How did she know?
Watching me rather than watching her lane.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
She called that out, and then everyone's gone, oh my gosh, because at this stage in the competition, we could all see what was going down. Okay, it's starting to take shape. It's almost done. This girl could possibly win. This is huge.
Yes.
This is going to change the standings. This is going to put her up, take her down. This could determine the champion. And so they've come up to me and said, look, this is what's happened. We're going to go and review the footage, and we're going to come up with a solution. I said, no worries. I'm going to sit here. I'm going to cool down on the bike, and I'm just come back and let me know. In my mind, I know the possible outcomes. I know what could happen. I can get upset and, throw my arms around. I'm a seasoned competitor. I know how this thing goes. And at that point in time, it was going to be more detrimental for me to make a scene, to get upset, to get angry, to get stressed when I had, only 1 or 2 events or whatever it was to go. And it was not going to be good for me. The outcome, they were going to decide, and I didn't have control over that. I think that the way they did it, I was very lucky. And in the end, I would have loved to have finished the workout and got a score that I deserved and have done those extra 3 reps, but that's just not how it happened, and you can't go back and change that. So the judges and the head of the CrossFit Games, they made the best decision, that they knew how to try and keep it fair, and I just took it and carried on to the next event. That's all it's done. Now you carry on and you move forward and you use it. And
so post the decision.
Yes.
How stressed were you? Were you freaking out?
No.
No, you
can't. Like,
and so that's why this year at the regionals, they're the sort of things you're trying to learn how to have something left in the bag so you can hit it harder at the end of the day.
You can let it affect you, or you can use it to move forward.
Yeah.
And I was not stressed. The only thing that upset me was how certain people were reacting and made this massive deal.
Right. And for or against you? Or both?
Just both. Like, kind of like it became this big loud thing.
Right.
And I said to them,
I mean, it's a pretty big deal. I mean, I kind of get it.
Yeah. It's a big deal, but, I was like, okay, I guess because of the state of mind that you're in competition, like I needed to be in this really clear state of mind. And I was like, let's just whoever's not involved, don't be involved.
Yep.
And then the people who need to make the decision, and they're going to do that the best way they know how. And I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to wait. And then if there's a situation or if something's really terrible and I feel like I need to argue it or whatever, then I will. I think that it was more than fair what they came up with.
I was going to say, did you think it was, given the circumstances?
I do. Like, it could have been a lot worse. Like I said, it could have been a lot better. It could have been a lot worse. I think in my heart, I think that it was fair. A lot of people have kind of given grief to the judge.
I was going to ask your opinion of were you able to forgive? Was it a guy or a girl?
I think it was a guy. Honestly, I never felt anything bad towards him. I understand that it's just human error. I make mistakes on a daily basis, all the time. Yep. And it is, these judges are under a massive amount of stress. Like, I know on a local level, when I have just people in my gym judging for me at the opens, the first stage, how terrible of a gig it is. Like, it's stressful. Like, making sure that they're watching that I'm hitting range of motion and that it's correct, keeping count. You're in a stadium that's ridiculously loud. Like, these guys, they do need support, and they have a really, really tough job. And I don't think that's understood and respected enough. And they probably need a little bit more than what they actually get. And on my side, I just understood that, it was a human error, and that's just how we are. We're not perfect, and it's not a.
It's incredible. That's incredible amount of mercy for somebody effectively that was going to win for the first time.
Yeah.
That's amazing, Kara.
Yeah.
It really is.
I mean, in the end, like I look at it pretty logically too. I didn't complete 3 reps, so it would have taken me a certain amount of time.
Yep.
And probably if I had have completed the three reps, it probably would have taken me the time they said it took me, and then I would have ended up in the same position anyway.
Sure.
But we'll never know. But luckily,
do you have that in the back of your mind? Like, you just never know. Like, maybe.
It sounds like you put it to bed, which is good.
Yeah, I did, like, pretty early, and I think that's because I do work really hard to be in control of what I can and to learn how to manage those other things, and not let them consume me. I don't define myself by what I do as an athlete, and there's a lot of I have a really, really good life, and I'm very grateful for everything that I have, and that's not, if I never win, I'm gonna keep trying, and I want to be the best, but it's never gonna take anything away from me either. So it's not, it's sport. We talk about this a lot. Like, it's sport. Like, it feels like your entire world for a moment. Then I'm like, you know what? There's really big things going on in life, and I'm not going to do this one day, and I'm going to have kids, and it's going to be about them. And, like, this is going to be like one event in 1 year of 1 games when I was 27, and it's gone, and it just happens. It's like getting injured in sport. What are you going to do? Like, it just is what it is. You can be disappointed and, oh, damn, carry on.
So basically, it was Tia's fault. Okay, I got that.
Yeah.
She did something. No.
She's paying the judge or something. No.
So, and when you go overseas, I mean, how? I mean, I don't know. Are you very close to Tia? Is it like a professional thing? Are you friends? Do you talk to one another? I mean, obviously the Australian component when you go over there. I mean, how does it work? Because I mean, I guess you guys are like rivals, obviously, but how does it work?
Yeah, like in my mind, I think like every other girl out there that I'm next to is a rival of mine. Like, anyone can take it. I'm out for the top spot, and they're all after it too. Yeah. It just so happens that at this point in time, Tia and I are right next to each other. Yeah. So they're your direct competitor. They're the one you can see next to you. Yeah. We are perfectly civil. Like, we're two good people. I respect and understand what she does more than anyone else, because I'm right there with her, and I know that she's the same. Like, we don't have there's no malice. I don't wish anything bad for her. I want her at her best the same as everyone else, so I can go and do my best too. There's no we're not around each other enough to really know each other, but like, we've competed alongside each other for a few years now. Yep. Even on the Pacific team have you
been together in the same team before?
Yeah, we've been together in the same team, and in the end, like, I look at her and I'm like, she's another Aussie girl. We have a lot of the same values, and obviously we're very similar in a lot of ways because look at where our life is.
Exactly. So, and we're nothing like those horrible Scandinavian girls that are coming up through the ranks, those that have joined Pit Powers, you know?
We've taken over. It's the Aussie girls now, and obviously we share that same Aussie grit, and I think that's pretty cool, especially like two Queensland girls.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
We don't, outside of the Invitational, which is like where they put us on a team together and they kind of like create a Pacific team and we go against the other regions. Aside from that, we don't really train together. And she'll kind of do her thing, I'll do my thing. Out on the comp floor, we'll try and kill each other and take the top spot. Behind the scenes, it's all good, but we're like in our own world doing our own thing, you know, our own process. Yep. And that's the same as pretty much with everyone. But yeah, and that's about as complicated as it gets.
I don't know if you comment much into this, but coming into the games and obviously not taking away from yourself, but outside of yourself, because you're finishing first. It's a lay down misère, but no, I'm kidding. Yeah. So Tia's right up there, and I know of the other two Sigridses. I don't know. Where are they from?
The Dodders. So there's like the Icelandic girls. The Icelandic girls, honestly.
Great football team, by the way.
The women's side is hectic, fierce, like competitive. It is so close. It is so great to watch. Like at any moment, there's like a group of girls and any of us could take it. Like you need the moons to align because we're like, and you know, based on the workouts and then obviously the uncontrollables and how they affect each individual. And that's something I understand as a very realistic component. I know that any one of us is actually capable of going and standing on the top. But it depends on all of these other little factors, and then like, well, you know, what happens between the years. There's so much, and because we're all physically really close to the same ability, so that's what makes it so unknown. And really, as a competitor, what makes it so exciting? It's the thrill of the unknown, but the fight. And you know, you'll watch anyone will watch the female side, and it's intense. Like last year, one workout, like 2 seconds could have flipped the whole thing upside down, you know.
So anything could happen this year, really.
Could happen.
But and your strength is in your lifts, is that correct? Is that where you
classically I took to lifting a lot easier when I very first started CrossFit. I was naturally quite strong. I was built for that side of things.
Low to the ground.
Yes.
You got good. It's the joint. I'm terrible at it. I keep
I'm
on
about
making
5'3" off the ground.
See, I'm 6'3", and it's one of those things. It's like the reason why I'm useless at it is not because I'm weak and I have no heart.
It's because
I'm too tall.
You got to lift it up.
I was always looking for an excuse, and now I have it.
There's classically, based off, say, your background and then maybe your genetic makeup or whatever it may be. Everyone has their particular strengths. My strength happened to be strength. I took to that quite naturally. Even the movement patterns of it just made sense to me, whereas, say, the gymnastics components, like kind of I had to work really hard for. I had to really think about. And then now my focus has been on more so the gymnastics and also the endurance side of things, teaching myself to be, able to do something for a long period of time and to shift that energy system has been crazy. So I've been working with with my coach and then another fellow who actually specifically works on Christian Shaw's his name with aerobic capacity. And so I had to try and actually teach myself to not be so good at that and be more towards this and try and bring the levels up to the same so that I can hold my own rather than placing first by a mile in a lifting event and scraping in for a 12th or 13th or 20th in an endurance event. It's trying to get them up to level and maybe not necessarily winning any event but having them all up there, being right next to the girl who did win it.
It's fascinating because that's right. If you get first, I know in the regionals, I don't know what it is in the at the games, but it's like 103 points or something.
It's 100 points, 100 points, and then it drops off per.
So if you smash it by a bazillion miles, you're still only getting 6 points more than the next person, right?
You're getting exactly the same, exactly. So that's where it's like, it's a hard pill to swallow, but I have to go, I don't get to do, as an athlete, you don't get to do what you're good at all the time. I can't work on that. I can't keep playing around with barbells because it makes me feel good all the time. I need to be hitting the track. I need to get in the water. I need to get on a bike. I need to do these things for a long time. And I need to teach my body how to be competent in those areas so that I can hold my own in those events and essentially be good at everything. Like that's what we're trying to do, is be good at everything. And, as a CrossFit athlete, the way to do that is to train everything that you're bad at every single day.
Like a doomsday prepper.
Totally.
It's like awesome, man.
Yeah.
If everything goes to shit, you look after me. Okay?
Yeah. I can't have your place.
Yeah. I'm pretty strong. I'm now aerobically capable. Like, I'm good to go.
Zombie apocalypse. They went to smash them in the head. No problem
Yeah.
at all.
Fish, and you just protect me while I catch us all fish and grow us plants.
Yeah. and I'll just hang around off the backs of you two
You've got
guys.
the gold.
You'll keep us relaxed with your nice mellow voice, putting everyone
Put everyone
to
to
sleep.
sleep.
You can narrate the process.
Matt, do you have any more questions for Kara?
I got heaps. We should do a whole nother podcast one day on how to actually design a supplement protocol after you win.
Yes.
We don't give away all your secrets.
No,
I started
no.
going through someone. Hang on. We'll do this later.
That is definitely something I'm super excited about, and I think it's lacking. People don't understand, and even myself, I've got so much room to learn how to like schedule this whole thing, like how to make it work. And yeah, it's so exciting to think of like that. Again, that's just another extra couple of percent at growth, like at improvement.
Well, you've even given me some ideas because we're releasing a bar towards the end of this year.
That's so exciting.
And you're about to try some. Literally, you're the first person outside of ATP Science who's going to try this, right? But I've got some ideas on how that might actually work for specifically you and the CrossFit community. So
perfect.
But we'll give them a try. But guys, we kind of run out of time today, but we'd love to have you back when you've got some time. I appreciate
100%.
you've got a very, very busy period coming up for you. So maybe after that.
Definitely.
But look, thanks so much for coming on. It's been great to have you. And and we'll have you back next time.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks.
Loved it.
That was awesome.
Cool.
Done.
Hello.
That was Kara said that. My name's Kara.
That's exactly
Australia.
That's exactly how I do.